come to order. Dr. Persky.
Yes, good evening, board members and staff, employees, guests to the district. First of all, I'd like to apologize. This is not where we normally hold our board meetings. We normally do them at central office. We have an election taking place there through 7 p.m. And so this is our alternative location. So we're a little cramped, I get that, but we will get through the evening. And I would like to ask our Director of Communications, Ms. Janice Hernandez, to please lead us in the invocations and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to start this day.
Please join me in a moment of reflection. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. We move down to the next thing on the agenda is recognitions.
Yes, sir. We have some friends visiting us who are going to do some recognitions to the district. But before that, we would like to recognize our students of the month, and we have some of those really great students with us. And I'll turn it back over to Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you so much. We do. We have 4 students to recognize today, and we're very excited about that. So I want to bring up the first student. Big Country would like to recognize Matthew Pena. Come on. Matthew represents the very best attributes of an elementary school student. He is respectful to his classmates and to adults. Matthew is reliable in doing his homework and classwork to his best ability, which is always excellent. He arrives to school with a positive attitude for learning and continues to strive for excellence in all that he does. Matthew is proud of his perfect attendance record that he accomplished last school year and would like to repeat his record this academic school year. He is a member of the Wolfpack baseball team. He holds the position of catcher and would like to one day become a professional baseball player. Matthew is an excellent role model. He is the epitome of a 5th grade student, and we are honored to call him a Big Country Bear. Congratulations. Next up, we have Bob Hope Elementary, who would like to recognize Orion Zapata.
It's Orion.
Orion. Orion is a wonderful example of an outstanding Bob Hope student. He is currently a 5th grader and participates in AAA, musical percussion, chess club, and is involved in student council every day at school. Orion is seen shaking hands with his friends and conversing with his teachers. His outstanding leadership extends outside the classroom as well. Some of Orion's extracurricular activities include football, swimming, hunting, trapping, and fishing. He plays organized baseball and has a great goal of going to college and working towards a doctorate degree in health. His dream is to become a general practitioner and to attend Oregon State University. Orion is an amazing boy with amazing potential. We are so proud to call him Southwest's finest and is the pride and joy of Bob Hope Elementary. Next up, McCullough Middle School would like to recognize star student and athlete Haley Vargas. Haley is a current 7th grade student who demonstrates the true meaning of rocket pride. Academically, Haley is taking all honors courses, one being 8th grade Algebra 1. She is hardworking and always strives to do her very best on every assignment in every class. Along with carrying a heavy academic workload, Haley is a member of the 7th grade football team and was also a member of the 7th grade volleyball team until she decided to fully commit to football. Haley is also a member of our mariachi program where she continues to display one of her many gifts. Haley is described by her teachers as being respectful, accountable, hardworking, responsible, and always willing to help others. Way to go, Haley. Next, Southwest High School would like to recognize Scarlett Patino. Scarlett is the president of NTHS, an officer with the Drama Drama Club, and an exemplary member of our Southwest student body. She leads by example, provides assistance to teachers and their peers. Students would follow her without having a title. Over the last 2 years as an officer with NTHS, she has played a significant role in fundraising over $5,000 and over 150 hours of community service, both within the campus community and our own Southwest extended community. She is not only an asset of Southwest, she represents Southwest in all she does.
We're gonna take a group photo, is that okay with you guys? Come on. There you go, there you go. All right. Oh, there you go, buddy. All right. Awesome. All right, and smile, and 1, 2, 3, good smiles. Perfect. We're really extremely proud of our Students of the Month, and we know that they have support behind them. So we'd like to ask our parents or family who are here, would you please stand so we can recognize our parents behind our Students of the Month. Also, we'd like to ask our principals of the campuses, they'll probably be over here somewhere. Would you please stand so we know there's a great principal behind everybody. So unless any of you want to say anything, that we can have a seat. Congratulations on your great accolades of being recognized by your campus and by your teachers. Great honor. Congratulations to you.
So up next, we're going to recognize Texas Education HR Day. Governor Greg Abbott has proclaimed October 10th, 2018 as Texas Education Human Resources Day, a day set aside to recognize and honor the important contributions made by school staff who work with human resources. Human resources staff work hard each day to make sure our schools are staffed with high-quality employees and that those employees have a good work environment. I'm going to ask Will Baker to join us for a picture, and there's also a resolution for the board to
There you go, Will. Only been there 2 weeks. That's why our students.
You're tearing it up, Will.
He's like the student of the month for HR right now.
Actually, thank you for this, and I accept it on behalf of everyone who's been working there. They have welcomed me, and of course, Mr. Rodriguez and Dr. Fay as well, so big support to me. So appreciate it.
Next, I'm going to ask our Executive Director of Community Partnerships, Jesse Garcia, to come up. Granger will be donating $5,000 for us to continue a program that will hopefully help the foundation match that as part of a district initiative to try to get another 100 students. So Granger's, Jesse's going to talk a little bit more.
So before Granger graciously presents this to us, we just wanted the board to know, last year with the help of the Education Foundation, we were able to provide over 100 students with free eye exams from the University of Incarnate Words, along with lens and frames for those students, and some additional frames depending on the type of vision that they have. Every year, about 600 students wind up not able to get these exams. So with the help of the foundation last year, we started a program to kind of minimize those kids to make sure that they're able to read in the classroom and are better supported, and that way they're better able to perform. So we talked about that with Granger, and so Mr. Johnny Reese and his partner, Miss
Yessie Barsana.
Yessie Barsana? Barsana. We talked that over with them and kind of made the proposal that we'd like to keep that going this year. And so they generously agreed to basically provide half of the funding that we needed to get that program to continue to go. We hope to ask the foundation for the other half to be able to do it again and again, cut into those 500 kids who are still needing the glasses and the eye exams. So our partners in the community, Granger.
Yeah, thank you for having us here. We really appreciate the opportunity to partner with the district. I see a lot of familiar faces here. For those of you who don't know me, I actually graduated here in 2007, so near and dear to my heart, and I'm very happy to be here and support the ISD in the way that we could. And I'll turn it over to Yessie. She's our branch manager who manages these fundings.
Yes, so you know, I'm just really happy to be here. Whenever we get to put business aside and really talk about, you know, being a positive impact in the community, you know, the Granger Foundation has always stepped up. And we are happy to be able to partner with Southwest Schools Foundation and provide a $5,000 grant this year, and we also look for continuous support, and partnerships through the next 3 years, and really step up and say, hey, we want to be able to eliminate barriers for students. And so I know that as business professionals, that's what my role entails. But to be able to do that, for the future generation, we are really, really happy to be here. So thank you.
As and I want to give a special recognition to Mr. Mark Figueroa, he's over in the back. I know Johnny reached out to Mark, and Mark kind of helped facilitate the whole thing. And as a former Southwest High School Dragon, we wanted to make sure we worked with him so that he could get a chance to give back. And so we think this is one of those examples where it comes full circle. So we're very thankful for that.
We're just glad we were nice to Johnny when he was there.
And smile. 1, 2, 3.
One more right here.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we have a final recognition for tonight. We have Doris General Contractors. They have chosen Southwest as the recipient of their CPR in Schools Kit program. Gary Joris will be here to represent the district, but right now we have the American Heart Association here as well, who would like to say a few words. And Mr. Mike Frazier would like to follow a few words as well.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Good evening, board members, superintendent, and the Southwest ISD community. My name is Amanda Gonzalez, and again, I'm with the American Heart Association. And so I'm thrilled to be here this evening as we recognize an extraordinary gift that was so generously donated by Joris General Contractors. Every hour in the U.S., approximately 38 people will have a cardiac arrest outside of a hospital setting. 9 out of 10 of these individuals won't survive, and often because bystanders don't know how to start CPR or they're afraid that they'll do something wrong. Who knows the 2 steps for handling CPR? Show of hands. So one of those steps, of course, is to call 911 and then press hard and fast. So if life-saving CPR isn't performed, a victim's chance of survival, or if it is performed, a victim's chance of survival can double or even triple. So we at the American Heart Association believe that kids are one of the answers to saving more lives. So for those of you that may not know, lawmakers in 37 states, including Texas, are required students to be trained in CPR prior to high school graduation, creating over 2 million potential lifesavers each year. And as Southwest ISD continues with CPR training, we understand the importance of continuing to provide updated resources to ensure that you have what you need to empower students, so that they have the opportunity to come home and to show you in the event you would need to perform it as well. On another positive note, American Heart Association will also be matching a second CPR in school kit to be provided to the district. So at this time, I'd like to introduce President and CEO Gary Joris with General Contractors.
President Frazier and members of the board and Superintendent Frazier, I haven't had a long speech like she first of. What did I say?
Frazier.
That was
Sorry.
all right. Yeah, you can say that.
Sorry.
Fine. I give you salary.
Friends on the board. As you can see that we have worked, I'm on the board for the American Heart Association and with Dr. Bursta. And so we raise money and help contribute these to some of the school districts and various entities. And so when they asked us, or me, where we wanted to donate one of ours, y'all were the first one that we thought of. So hopefully this is going to help train some young folks in life safety and saving lives. And so that's all.
So I just want to say on behalf of the district, and I'll turn over to Mr. Bursta for a minute. You also donated
Might
last
be
year.
fired for that.
And you're building on top of what you did last year for us is a tremendous thing to create opportunities for our kids to live in safer environments. And so thank you for your gift all the time, and always thinking about Southwest and taking the time to come out to our district. This means a lot to you.
Once I found the building that was tucked back in here, I was walking around boardrooms and elementary schools,
Yeah,
so.
take back. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you'd be looking for a job tomorrow. First of all, you know, I think everybody knows Gary. He's been with us for years. In fact, to go back, if you look at the old high school, his dad was a contractor on the old high school that he is remodeling now. And if you go through the years, Gary has grown probably more than our district has grown with his construction job, and it's become the #1 in South Texas. And this man has put a lot of hard hours in, and a lot of hard hours for us. You go back and look at, I don't know, how many schools, 11? You built 11 here, Gary?
Probably quite a few, yeah.
And the main thing that everybody in this district liked by that is some contractors come along and go after it's over. Many times over warranty, they've come in and helped us out on this. And this man has really helped the school district for years. Let's give him a hand.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for all the fun times to work with you. And my dad always enjoyed working with the district, so
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Would you mind a picture? Sorry, Alice. Roger?
Oh, no, no.
Camera. Can we take a picture? Yeah, we can.
Sure.
Can you perform CPR?
Yeah,
push hard and fast, Gary.
I really forgot to say
You take
this,
it
but
first,
they
I'll take it
brought this
after
in
you.
case I had a
Yeah,
heart
for
attack.
Lord.
That's behind you. Roger, right? Oh, real quick, let's get her.
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. They just jumped in, real quick.
You want in between us?
I think we're good.
All right, ready? And smile. And 1, 2, 3.
And 1, 2, 3. Mine doesn't have a fancy glass.
We'll send it.
Thank you. You bet.
Thanks.
We don't want this.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is the most exciting part of this meeting. If some people would like to get up, I know he's made the teachers stay, threaten their lives, but those people that are allowed to leave, if you would like to go on, or if you stay, we'd be glad to have you, but it's not going to be as exciting as it was.
Yeah, but it's okay. She's stationed up here. She can do that. I'll give her
Who's with you?
They show you that floor?
Huh?
They show you all that floor?
Nobody's on it.
Right behind Keith. It's okay if you keep stepping wrong way.
Oh, in here?
Taking over ceilings.
Any more solar panels on top of the high school?
Not yet.
I went over like water,
Right.
or like mud or something.
All right, board members, we're going to go on. We're going to skip over item 4 right now and go into citizens to be heard. Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes, we have Diane Kikanon and Jessica Aragon.
Yeah.
Diane is gonna go first.
Who? Oh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Wasn't listening, I was trying to read, okay.
Okay.
Okay, we're already on 5. This is good.
Yes, ma'am, right there.
Do I go up there?
Yes, ma'am.
We're still, okay. Okay, first of all, I'm retired. I haven't come to very many of these meetings because by 6 o'clock I was at home with my feet up because I used to work special ed and walk to school all day. I escorted yesterday, and I had my feet up and was having my tea by 6 o'clock and resting. So I come here because I have 2 questions, none of which are invasive, judgmental, or anything. I would never do that. I'm still in your shoes, so there's no problem here. And our record speaks for itself here at Southwest in our district anyway. I mean, we have more kids graduating, going to well-earned jobs, going to college with help and without. I mean, we have kids just succeeding every way there is, so it speaks for itself. I've never been invasive about anything. We're a good group here. So my first question, and it came up on the news the other night, and I thought, well, why not ask? This vaping thing, I mean, I know it's another version of smoking in the boys' room stuff, you know. So is there something that's treated like bringing cigarettes to school, but you can't see it as easily? Some of them are this big, they're like flashlights and stuff like that. So what, if anything, do we send home something about it, or how do we handle that?
We do, it's in our student parent handbook and part of our student code of conduct. It was added in a few years back.
Okay, okay. Well,
our-
haven't had a child at the school for a while, so all of mine are graduated. Okay, and the gentleman who does my lawn and his sister, he's now graduated from another school. And his sister, okay, John J. Yeah, and she said her eyebrows were perfect, so I said, man, you go to Southwest, right, cosmetology? And she goes, no, Georgia. You know, and I said, well, she said, I love being over there because they're gonna help pay for my certification and all this stuff. And I went, do we have that here at Southwest? Do we have that paper?
We do.
Oh, good, because I didn't know what to say, and very seldom does somebody catch me with a, look, you know, like that. So I'm glad.
building for them also.
Do what?
Y'all wanna elaborate on
Yes,
that?
they
Really?
just had their building probably increased by 100% square footage and built them a state-of-the-art cosmetology laboratory. And yeah, we definitely promote that industry. I'm gonna tell you, the state of Texas does not, because there's talk about the state starting discussions to discontinue. We have no intention of following that, but I think our state legislator would love to hear from you.
Well,
If you
will
have the
do.
opportunity this next week.
Yes, okay.
That's something we
I'm
don't need to
open.
do.
It's the one with the yellow one, and I'm going to. So, yeah, that sounds good. Well, now I can tell them that we're all cool here. Besides, when I called John Jay, they left me on eternal hold. Thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Rodriguez?
Jessica Aragon. Jessica.
Hey, hey. I'm gonna stand right here. Good evening, Mr. President, board members, Dr. Verstuff, everyone else. I'm Jessica Aragon, president of the Southwest Texas State Teachers Association. I'm here with some of our board members, Beverly Body, she's our vice president, Daisy Dela Cruz, she is our secretary, new to us this year, and we love it, and love her. And our treasurer couldn't be here, Cindy Valdez. We are really looking forward to working with you this year on certain concerns and events that arise. We also want to remind everyone to make sure that they are registered to vote, and all your family members 18 and older are registered to vote by October 9th for the upcoming November election. And as you heard Dr. Verstuff just right now talk about how important it is to talk to those legislators and definitely look up their record. Don't just listen to their ads or listen to what they say, because actually it's really in what they vote on. So if you go to our website, tsta.org, we have a list of all the legislators, everyone in office, and how they voted. And you can truly see which members are actually voting for education. Very, very important. You can also check out our TSTA website for our Vote Education Pledge, and I want to read a little bit about it here for you. So it says, if we as educators do not cast our votes based on a candidate's position on education issues, who will? Our votes decide what student success and education policy look like today, tomorrow, and in the future. Here's what's at stake. Better funding for public schools or state funds for private school vouchers, the freedom to teach and learn or teaching to the test, smaller class sizes or crowded classrooms, professional pay and benefits or inadequate pay and insurance coverage. Elections have consequences. When you take the Vote Education First pledge, you pledge to cast your votes based on which candidate is best for students, educators, and public education. Together, we can determine the future of public education, elevate our profession, and provide every child the opportunity to receive a quality education. But we have to vote education first. So the importance is there. You've seen things all over the news, in the newspapers, everywhere you see it. Some people just don't like public education. And we need to be sure that we're there voting in November and making sure that we're taking that vote education pledge. Also, TSTA Region 2 and 3, which are all the TSTA locals in San Antonio, besides San Antonio Alliance, will be having a public education community fest on October 13th, and it's where we want to showcase our public schools and showcase our students. So really be on the lookout for those flyers and for information for the opportunity of our students to be there to showcase what our district does and what our students do in public education. We really want to showcase how important, and we're just as good, even better, as any other type of school there is. And we want to be sure that Southwest is there to represent ourselves. And again, thank you for everything you do for us, for our school, for our students, and our community. We really appreciate it, and we really look forward to working with you this year. Thank you.
All right, board members, you can go back to item 4 now. It's a consent agenda.
I move.
Go ahead.
I move.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving down to items of action, construction will be first.
Yes, Mr. Barajas will present some construction updates. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to present the update of phase, Southwest High School Phase 2, and here to present we have Rafael Bedoya with Fluid Architects and Mr. Paul Robinson with Joris General Contractors.
Good evening, everybody. Again, Rafael with Fluid Architects, Paul Robinson with Joris. It's a pleasure to come down and visit with y'all. Although a different setting today, we're just today we're reporting this is report number 4. So we've been at it close to a little bit over 5 months now. The last pay application we processed was through the month of August, but that was closing out your fiscal year, so this was a pay app that we had processed previously, and that carried us to 30% of the work completed. That work primarily was at the mall and at the lobby areas. Towards the, I'm sorry, that was mostly at the mall. That most of the work has been completed now. There's the amphitheater seating that's now taking place. Most of the concrete has been poured, and now we're only missing some wood finishes on some of the steps. The above ceiling work has been completed. As you know, with this rain that was much needed, unfortunately there was some rain that got into our building, and there's some rework that has to be done, some repair work of some ceiling tiles that got wet, some duct insulation that got wet, and that all had to do with the amount of rain that we got over a weekend, and some temporary roofing that we've had in place was breached. But Joris has already started putting fans up there to dry things up. They might have to do some minor repair to some jip walls and burn downs, but overall I think it's something not insurmountable, and we can repair it fairly quickly and catch up to speed on that.
You said over the weekend. Was this the second breach or was it?
No, there was just one breach.
Just the first time.
So that was over the Labor Day weekend, so that was the long weekend. That Saturday, 4 units have been set on the roof, and they were going to be completing the work early Tuesday, but unfortunately the amount of rain we got over that weekend kind of got into the roof. But since then, they've already completed the units. The installation of the units, they're doing some final tie-ins, and they're going to be doing the final re-roofing as soon as the rain allows. So, it seems like today we got a good sunny day, but hopefully we get a few more so they can complete that work. So now the focusing of the work will go into the heel areas and then to the counselor suite, which is underneath the amphitheater, and the second floor rooms that we got upstairs is where the focus is gonna be during the full course of the semester. An additional portion that we're adding to their work over the school year is in working with Ms. Brunson and facilities, we're gonna turn over a few more corridors, so George can start a little bit more work, looking forward to the next summer's work, so we can get ahead as much as possible. In the handout that you have, the 11 by 14 kind of shows a shot at the mall area. You kind of see the intent of the work that was to expose the ceiling rafters and put acoustic clouds. We've been in there, and the sound levels, we do see that difference, so it kind of helped out. So we're very happy with the work that George has done, and I mean, there's still a little bit more to do. You can see kind of the flooring. That's something that we'll tackle next summer. That will kind of bring everything, tie everything back together. The top image shows the roof that was been doing on the roof. You see the 4 units. Those are where the little water came in through. But here you see most of the skylights, or previously skylights, that we now have solar tubes that brings in the natural light into the space. In the heel area, the gyp walls are starting to go up. Plumbing roughing is going on. Electrical roughings are going on. So a lot of the work is going to focus there, and that'll continue probably for the next month.
Question. I mentioned the other day in our meeting that there has to be a better term than heel. I don't know. Does everybody call it? Does everybody know what he means by?
We just nicknamed it that, and I think it just stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
So we probably be having a different name, but
I'm just not sure that's the right name.
Yeah. Should I not be using heel anymore?
No, we'll call it the health.
We're gonna let that be the architectural name.
I think that's how we have it noted on our plan, so I
Ralph
apologize for
Yo
that.
Constitute.
It's a health academy.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, as Mr. Bedoya said, we did coordinate with campus staff. So as of Monday, we took over what's known as the cave area on the second floor, and ceilings are gone right now. We'll be doing that work. We're just trying to get a little bit of a head start for next summer, so we're not really confined to 8 weeks of complete floor and ceiling renovations all throughout the school. So, but if you all have any other questions. All right.
Anything else on construction?
That is it, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
All right, moving along, monthly tax office.
98% total collection at this point, so right at point.
Where'd you go, Brandon?
You gotta get to 99%, that's easy. We got one more month.
We'll put that down as a goal for next time.
Yeah, for next month.
All right, on the investments, monthly report on gifts, enrollment report. Any questions? $50,000. Anybody have questions on that? Calendar of events. All right, go over the online auction.
Mr. Thompson.
Yes, sir. District staff has scheduled our annual online auction to begin November 2nd, 2018 and conclude on November 12th, 2018. There will be a link online on the district homepage to Lemons Auctioneers, our online pros. They will be the ones conducting it for us, just like we've done the past at least 10 years since I've been here. So it's been going on the same. All of the items for auction are items that the district deems unsuitable for use or no longer necessary. Items will include old furniture such as desks, office furniture, shelving units, older technology equipment, computer monitors, CPUs, printers, overhead projectors, and older kitchen equipment, and transportation and white fleet trucks and buses that are no longer in service. So that on Tuesday, October 30th, Lemons Auctioneering will be coming out to do all the digital photography and tracking of all the items that are going on. Friday, November 2nd, the online auction will activate on their website. Thursday, November 8th, there will be a preview where we allow anybody that's interested in items to come out and take a look in person. And then on Monday, November 12th, the online auction completes. And on Tuesday, November 13th through Friday, November 16th, we will be doing the online auction removal at all. There's 3 different locations that we have distribution warehouse, the warehouse behind the complex, and then the Sky Harbor basement. So those are the 3 areas that will have stuff. Under process, board policy, CI local allows superintendent designated to declare district materials, equipment, and supplies to be unnecessary and dispose of unnecessary materials, equipment, and supplies for fair market value. Does anybody have any questions on the dates? Thank you.
Thanks, sir. All right, the best thing of the night, official game name.
Yes, sir. We're gonna bring out Mr. Roger Campos and maybe Jesse.
Jesse and Mr. Flores.
So we've been through a process, and I think Roger's gonna cover that to make sure that we get as right as possible the naming of what's going to be a tradition that's going to go on well beyond our time here on Earth. And Roger and Jesse and Richard, I believe, are going to cover that information. And then I think display for the first time the actual logo. I think I sent you guys an email, forwarded you an email that Jesse sent us about the name, but I don't think anyone's really seen the logo yet. And so Roger's going to unveil that electronically and dramatically here.
Just look at the screen. So we wanted to share the process with you because it was a quite lengthy one. About a month ago, Coach Wagner came to us and said, hey, we're gonna need a name for this game. We know that whatever name we decide on is gonna be something that's gonna go on for a really, really long time. So we wanted to make sure that we got it as right as we could, and we wanted to make sure that we went through a process that was as inclusive as possible. And so what you're gonna see right now is what Roger's gonna share is basically a process that we went through to get as many folks to the table with opinions and input as we possibly could before we went to the final phase where we took it to the students so that they could actually vote on it. So
I'm actually going to give the floor to Mr. Flores here. All right, so we formed up a committee, and it started with Dr. Versa, Coach Wagner, and myself, and so forth, and we all sat in PR department and so forth, and we all sat together to start kind of brainstorming some ideas for the name of the game. We started out with, eventually was going to be student input into it as well, but the adults started kind of tossing some ideas around. The list of all the people that were on the committee are up there. And then as we left that meeting, the coaches and the band directors for both high schools went back to their students because this process started back in the summer when students weren't even in session yet. And so the kids that were on campus were the athletes and the band kiddos and some of the other fine arts students. And so we took the ideas we had as the adults, kind of vetted them with the students, and they gave some input as well. And so as we did that, we came back to the table several times discussing these names, and then Coach Wagner and myself went to the 2 high schools to meet with the leadership classes. So now a larger group of students, so not just the athletes and the band students, but now we were including many of the groups across the campus, and especially the leadership groups, student council and so forth. So we met with those students, and then as we did that, they started generating some names. We talked about, along with just naming the game, we also wanted to marry that with a service project as being one of the pillars of what we're learning here at Southwest ISD in our leadership definition, which is commitment to service. And so we wanted to put that together with that. So as we spoke with the students, we talked about, look at these names, look at names that you want to generate and so forth, but what we want to do along with this is create a service project that goes across the district to help support our community and support the larger San Antonio community as well.
And just real quick on that, we put on there the requirements for the name. There's a lot of ways you can go with this. You can go by location, you can go by mascot, you can go by the service project itself. So we went through a ton of stuff. We did set some parameters. We got to make sure that it's obviously nothing offensive, nothing violent. We do want to make sure that we do keep that community spirit. It is a game, it is a rivalry, it is going to be something, but it's also going to be a friendly rivalry. It's going to be a family at the end. We're all going to shake hands, it's going to be a great thing. So that was some of the requirements that we did have for the name.
And so as we brought those names back from the students, we met with both groups on the same day. We brought those names back, the adults looked at them again, and so we had 12 choices at one point, and so we narrowed those down to 6 choices. And then at that point, on Thursday, Jesse did a great job of sending out through this Qualtrics program, being able to get the vote out to the students and staff of both high schools. So we gave them the list of those 6 names that we had whittled it all down to, and everybody got to vote. And the way they voted was by ranking each one. So they had to number them 1 through 6, and there was no way to have like 2 of the same numbers. So they had to make a choice and say, what's your first choice, what's your 6th choice, and all the way down. And so within 3 hours or so, we had about 700 votes, and then we had a winner. And so
Yeah, we'll talk about those stories next. But
Right.
of those 6 names, those were also the combination of all that work. So it was including the student picks, also some stuff from the staff. So we kind of combined. We also combined names that they kind of had that was common themes. So we put those all together, and those were the 6 that we chose, or that were chosen throughout the process. Real quick, we can talk about the service project for this. This is going to be just as important as the game, because this is something that's going to involve the entire district. It's not just the high schools that are involved, it's also the middle schools and the elementaries. I don't know if you want to touch on this a little bit?
So for this year, we decided that the food drive was going to be the main part of this service project that we're going to do. But what you're going to see over the years, depending on what our community needs, that service project will change. So it could be a clothing drive one year, it could be a school supplies drive another year. This particular year, we're going to start off with a food drive. We've connected with the San Antonio Food Bank, and we've opened up a window from the 20th of September to the 27th of September, where they're going to collect food at the 2 high schools. Now, at the same time, our feeder schools to each one of those 2 high schools will also be doing a food collection, and then they'll be taking those, whatever they collect, over to the high schools, where on the 27th, that food will all be picked up by the food bank and weighed, and then we'll get this initial weight that tells the Southwest Legacy High School is here, Southwest High School is here. That night of the game, we'll open it back up, and the parents will be able to come in and donate. Staff, whoever it is who attends the game, will be able to donate canned foods that night as well too, and there'll be bins on one side for Southwest Legacy and bins on the other side for Southwest High School. We'll do an additional collection through the end of the first quarter. At that point, we'll have the San Antonio Food Bank folks kind of give us an estimated weight of what they have, because they don't have scales on site. And then we'll add that to the initial numbers that we have. And during halftime, we'll present the winning school with probably a plaque of some type that has that initial award for winning the service project part of it. And then later on, you'll see, at the end of the game, there'll be another part that goes for winning the actual football game. But we thought it was really important that the kids understood that this is about service to the community. It's going to be a rivalry. We get it. Like, it's no matter what we do, that element is going to exist. But what we wanted the kids to do is also to have a big community piece in there. And so we want to add some other activities along the way there that kind of help bridge that gap with the community, with the kind of friendly rivalry piece. And we thought that this was a good place to go. And I'm sure that as this goes over time, it'll morph and kind of take on its own personality, and other events and whatnot will be added. But we wanted to start with the service project that was associated with the game name, and then whatever celebration we're going to add for the actual team who wins the actual game.
So for that game, you will see something that we'll have a pre-game ceremony of some type before the game. At halftime, we'll talk about the service project itself, and there'll be some collaboration between the fine arts groups and so forth. And then at the end of the game, of course, will be the celebration of whoever wins the game. And so for that one game, there's going to be that special element to it. So we're very excited about that. And
So this is the fun part right here. So we get to announce finally what it'll be. Hopefully technology will work and it will actually be a surprise. But so there it goes. So you probably just saw it real quick, but just so you know, we are calling it the Fire and Armor Bowl, Southwest High School versus Southwest Legacy. This United in Service. That's the tagline for it. Once again, we're trying to get that service together with both schools. Fire obviously for Southwest High School, Southwest Dragons, and the armor is for the Titan armor, the shield that they carry. So you have those movable force. Was it the force and the object? Colliding. So it's we think it was a great pick. Like I said, the students overwhelmingly picked this as the winner. It has that kind of a strength to it. So we're actually really excited about this name. We can send it to you.
And Mr. Sullivan will be playing.
Not offensive to tough face, but I've seen this Bunsen and Joseph going at it already outside. They were already.
They were already
So this is how the results actually came out, and this is like golf, so low score wins. Okay, so the lower score wins there, so that's
We won by a good margin.
it won by a very good margin. So Fire and Armor was the Fire and Armor Bowl.
Sounds good, guys.
Questions?
Any questions? Ideas?
Y'all covered it. That's a lot of work. We appreciate everything you put in.
Thank you.
Good job.
I don't think
So I just want to thank Richard. I know Richard, Jesse, and Roger and Pete did a lot of leg work. You would have never thought how hard it would be to name a bowl game. And it was extremely difficult. And I think we've had at least 8 different names before. We're here. We feel like a job.
All right, moving on. Item 7, we'll postpone. Item 8, cameras and special ed.
Yeah, so during the 18-19 school year, we did have a board member request that cameras be placed in all applicable special education self-contained classrooms. Per regulations, board members that request cameras, and we have to have a board action on that on a yearly basis. The cost for it is $35,400, and I believe that's for the additional cameras of new rooms that we've added. And we need a recommendation that the board approve whether or not to continue to have cameras in the applicable special education classrooms.
I move. I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 9, Region 20 safety.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fairwell is going to present on that.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Region 20 has established a new school safety cooperative for this school year. This cooperative is designed to provide ongoing professional development and technical service for district staff at a reduced cost or free in some cases. Texas Education Code allows for school districts to be part of agreements to provide for these services. The cost of participating in this new cooperative is $2,250, and membership for 2018-2019 would be paid using categorical funds. Recommendation from staff is that the board approve membership in the Region 20 School Safety Cooperative at a cost of $2,250.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, sir. All right, the interlock participation agreement.
Yes, sir. I've got Mr. Jeff Powell. He's going to talk about some pretty neat stuff with fiber coming to our district, Region 20 as well.
Good evening. The district is growing more dependent on the internet every year, and as more and more programs mail it to the internet, as we buy more and more technology devices for our students. So to help schools add internet bandwidth at a reasonable cost, Region 20 is creating the ESC 20 Fiber Consortium. And so what they're going to do is they're going to run fiber optic cable from their headquarters to all the schools in the regions and then provide each of those schools, the participating schools, with an internet connection. And as part of Region 20, we've been invited to participate. The fiscal impact, it's a minimum 4-year commitment to join the consortium, and we wouldn't start paying until our internet circuit was actually up, but our cost would be $2,300 per month, and we would receive a 10 gigabit per second internet connection. And after 4 years, we'd have the option of renewing annually for a lower cost of $2,000 per month, and that would be from year 5 to 10. The benefits we get out of this, right now we pay AT&T roughly $6,000 a month for just 2 gigs of internet, and after the whole E-rate process, which as we all know is hit or miss sometimes, it comes out to about $600 per gig, and so we're actually, even after rebates, this is about 25% cheaper than what we get from AT&T. And Region 20 is handling the E-rate for us, so we don't have to deal with the process, and we don't have to deal with waiting on the refund. We get the refunded price basically from the start. And we've been, over the years, taking steps to try to stay ahead of the needs of the district as far as internet goes, and this is great for us because it'd give us a chance to take a really big step and really get ahead of the curve. And most importantly, from my point of view, we would no longer be completely dependent on AT&T for the internet, because if they have a problem, you know, everybody in this room pretty much knows how that goes. So we would have basically 2 places to go for internet, so if we had a problem with one, we'd be able to fall back on the other one. And the construction is scheduled to begin in October, and if we were to join the consortium, the ETA of our district getting its internet connection would be July 2019. So we're asking that the board approve the interlocal participation agreement into the ESC 20 fiber consortium.
I have a couple quick questions.
Sure.
So I just want to make sure I understand. Is this going to be in addition to what we currently have, or it's going to replace what we
This
currently have?
initially would be in addition to what we currently have, because we currently are under contract with AT&T.
Right.
But long term, as long as we still get, as long as we can still refund, get rebates for rate, it'd be a good idea to at least keep a piece with AT&T. That way, if there's a problem with AT&T, with the Region 20 or their provider, we'd still have AT&T to fall back on.
And when we get both, how are we like doubling bandwidth? Are we
This would,
tripling?
we have 2 now, we'd move to 12, so it'd be about 6 times what we currently have.
6 times. That's.
And a gig for Joanne on tour.
So it's a bargain, in other words.
It really is.
Okay.
And we're buying more devices, it seems like weekly, so we're trying to stay ahead.
Any idea who their provider's gonna be?
Their provider is Zayo. I'm not familiar with them, but they put it out to bid, and they were the winning bidder for not only to be the internet provider, but also to do the build out for the fiber.
And they did it through E-rate as well. They did the process that we normally do, they did it for us. They took care of it.
And this bandwidth is exclusively ours, or is that the way it works now?
It's shared, but they've got, I think, 300 or 400 for the entire region. So,
So, yeah, we got a portion of it.
right.
I'm sure
So
other districts
we
that
get
are bigger get probably a little more than us.
Right, it depends on how many districts, or how many students you have. Like, some will get a lot less, and we fit into the 10 gigs.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Need a motion?
I move. I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Item C, the Teams platform.
Yes, sir, and so I was thinking, because we're just asked to join 2 things with Region 20. Currently, we are under contract with Region 20 for our Texas software system, which is basically our student business and PEAM system, and how we operate the district. Part of that process and part of being with Texas is in the future, they are looking to merge their current program that they have with, because they're actually on 2 different modules. So they have a product that they're gonna put out in 2020. Currently, we've been looking over the year at different vendors and how to streamline that process. And being a part of Texas, we have to actually hire a bunch of third-party vendors to run some of our other programs to make them merge with Texas. Example would be Chronos, which is where people clock in and out. Our ASOP, which is where teachers go in to put in their substitutes. And so we have a vendor that we spend lots of money with, but we also have multiple vendors that we have to hire to basically streamline this process, and they all don't talk to each other. And so as we started to look out to see what was out there, we found a vendor called Teams, who streamlines that process, that eliminates a lot of the third-party vendors that we're dealing with. And at the end of it, well, we get a more efficient process data system, and at the same time, we get to cut costs because we don't have to hire a bunch of the extra third-party vendors. And so the process started probably really back in February when we started to meet with this vendor, and we went through with the vendor demos with different folks from all over the district. We ended up going back in the middle of June and meeting with Brownsville Sport ISD and brought them in to do a full demo so we could see it firsthand from a school district. And then most recently in August, we had Teams Pro Logic come back to us and give another demo. And so it's been pretty vetted. The overwhelming, we actually did a survey, is that people were scared to change. That was the only reason we had to not change it. And so we know that when we changed to Google, it was a big event for a lot of people from first class, and so it would be a big change for us. But at the same time, to become more efficient, become paperless, things that we talk about, we can't be afraid to change. And so we're asking the board to move forward. At the same time, we will be the first Region 20 district, and so I was able to negotiate about $50,000 a year off the price, and at the same time, another $40,000 in the implementation phase. And you have this sheet on your in front of you that kind of shows you the breakdown of what we're spending for the vendors now And this doesn't include every vendor that we could also eliminate, because there's DocuWare and other things that we could possibly eliminate. But the first column shows you the vendors that we're actually spending money with. And this would be on a year-to-year basis is what we pay, but this would be for a 5-year deal, like, to lock in pricing. So we would pay, right now, we pay $285,000 a year for all the vendors that we're using with Texas. With Teams would be $243,000 a year. So overall, the price of the contract's 1.2 for a 5-year deal, but that's how we're able to lock in the rates. And so, one thing that I want to be honest with you and transparent with is that we will have to take a look at our clocks that we have currently with Chronos, because those are going to need to be replaced this year anyways. So we were going to have to look to upgrade those. But there's other solutions with Teams that allow us to do other things besides just having Chronos clocks. You can actually clock in at when you log into the network at your desktop. You can use iPads, kiosks, and so there's different ways for savings there, but that's going to be another cost that's going to come down the road whether we move or not. So the recommendation is that the board approve the district to move to Team Pro Logic for a cost of about $243,000 a year, and for the first year, and then $252,000 for the years 2 through 5.
Did we budget for this, Brandon?
This is a budget item this year. This is part of the monies that we received that is extra for this year, but next year, going into next fiscal year, it would be, because we won't have all these other vendors, so the money that we're paying for them now would be a wash.
So it's a budget neutral.
Correct, yes, sir. We're not gonna add something without getting rid of something. Exactly.
So,
I promise.
To give some historical, we've had this conversation, I would say going on 15 to 20 years now, about the deficiencies that we experience and promises made and promises not kept. And this is the furthest we've ever come with this. Because we look at other projects that we're just not to the level as what I think Brandon and his task force is seeing now. And so it's with that and the property tax value and the equity bump, and the fact that we're going to run these two programs side by side, the implementation plan that we're putting forward. This is really the best timing and opportunity, and we're looking for something that for the end user has more of a desktop opportunity. We're not logging in and out of several programs, but that's just, you can't remember where you are by the time you go somewhere else and try to come back, no matter how many screens you put in front of you. You got 10 of them to operate here.
Anything else? Need a motion?
I move. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. In favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving to item 10, credit by exam.
And so I'm Lisa Bolton presenting, the Texas Education Agency went ahead and changed some rulings on the credit by exam for acceleration and also for credit. So Lisa is gonna go to.
So the Texas Education Agency has revised the rules regarding credit by exam. So all exams now have to go through a validity process, and there has to be an audit process in place. Texas Administrative Code requires that we use accelerated advanced placement exams and CLEP exams, but we have the option to choose other exams. They recommend using University of Texas at Austin exams and Texas Tech exams. Both of those universities already have a validity process in place, and they have placed an audit process, and they have public reports available on their websites. And so we are asking that the board approve the use of their credit by exam tests for students that want credit by exam to support acceleration, and we accept their audit process that they have in place.
Questions?
So A&M San Antonio doesn't offer that?
No.
I think Tech and UT have been the long-standing.
They have a long-standing agreement.
Texas for multiple years.
Anything else? Any motion?
I move. A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. ESL stipends.
Since Mr. Rivera Gonzalez will be presenting on that, the state has also confirmed some changes to our programs and what we need to be in compliance.
All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. School board members, so this past year on July 15th, there was a big major change to our Chapter 89, which are the guidelines that govern bilingual and ESL instruction. So the last time there had been any major amendments to Chapter 89 had been when they were trying to meet the No Child Left Behind federal guidelines. So now with ESSA coming in, they've also made those adjustments. So as of July 15th, there was several changes, but the adjustments or the changes that really affect our high school are the ESL content-based and ESL pull-out programs. So previous to this, an ESL content-based program allowed for teachers to only need the shelter instruction training to be in compliance. Now the definition, if you look on the guideline here, it says that now it requires that all those content teachers have an ESL certification. So it also redefined an ESL pull-out program, and the ESL pull-out program now specifically says that ESL instruction is going to filter through the English classroom or the English teacher. So those teachers would need to have that ESL instruction for us to be in compliance under a pull-out program. Where this affects us, really, if we look at our middle school, we've been practicing this for about 5 years, and our middle school administrators have been doing a really good job of making sure that we do have at least one per grade level, so ESL certified teacher, and those teachers or those students that are ESL filtered through those classrooms. And so we're going to work on doing the same thing at the high school. The only thing with at the high school is that currently we do have 35 teachers, if we look here, that filter or that are at Southwest High School, Southwest Legacy, CAST, and DAEP where English instruction takes place. So out of those 35 teachers, when we surveyed, we only had 5 that were actually ESL and English certified. So TEA did give us a November 1st basically deadline to meet that compliance need. And so by November 1st, from July 15th, we've been pushing out this information to our high school principals, administrators, our English department leads, and so we've had a really good turnaround. And so at this point, we started with 5. There's already been 3 or 4 that actually have taken the assessment and have passed. And so what we're doing right now is our plan is we've provided the face-to-face ESL Texas review. And so this weekend, on Saturday and then October 8th, we do have 18 now teachers that will be doing the face-to-face training and then taking the test pretty soon here. So part of the changes with this is that now that teachers, or now that this is a guideline that is required, we can no longer use Title III funds. Before, if teachers were going above and beyond, we could use funds to pay for the test and anything else that came with it. However, we're no longer able to use those title funds. So that funding to pay for that or for that test or assessment would have to come from local funds. So what I'm asking for today is $500, a $500 stipend that would be paid up front. And that stipend would include the assessment, attaching it to the actual certificate, which is another $75, and then the rest would be for the teacher if they meet the November 1st compliance. And so, like I said, hopefully at this point we do have at least more than 50%. We're shooting for 75% of our teachers. If a teacher does not meet the November 1st deadline, however, it is required by the guidelines that they meet that guideline or that meet that certification by the end of the school year. We cannot ask for a waiver again for the same teacher next year. So part of my plan, or part of what I'm requesting is also is that if they don't meet that November 1st deadline, that if they can meet it by April 1st, which is for next year, then they would get the $250, which would cover the cost again of the exam, $135, and then $75 to attach it. So at least the teacher's not out that money. We are probably one of the few districts that are taking this initiative right now because this is not a Southwest ISD concern, it's really the state of Texas. So any English teacher right now that has a job anywhere is probably going to be asked the same thing, and so we're trying to take the initiative to try to keep our teachers, and so that way they're meeting our state guidelines. And so that is the plan, and the request is for a $500 stipend too.
And how many teachers?
Well, minus the 5, that would be 30 teachers. So that would be asking about $15,000. If we were to include those 5 that already had the certifications, we took the initiative prior to this, then that would be about $17,500.
They teach that in school now, when you graduate?
It is part of now, local universities are now that these guidelines have changed, they're starting to provide that instruction so that teachers come with that certification, but it's not been the practice. But now that TEA has changed our guidelines, or Chapter 30, or Chapter 89, now it's starting to become part of something that teachers are already coming with.
Israel, if a teacher doesn't take the test by November 1st, is she still gonna be able to have those kids in her classroom, or are we going to have to move those students out?
So part of that is that if they don't meet the November 1st deadline, we'll have to put in a waiver. Part of the waiver in the request, we have to put the PD plan for getting that teacher certified by the end of the year. What the district is doing to recruit teachers to ensure that they're certified by the time by the following school year. And so we're providing professional development to ensure that we can move or reassign teachers. That's something, like I said, that if the need is there, then if there's an ESL English teacher that's not being used in that capacity, then we could look at probably doing that also. But a teacher that does not meet the November 1st guideline, those students will remain, we'll just have to put that waiver in. And so but we cannot ask for a waiver another year for that same teacher.
The teacher, those 5 that are already certified, did they get a stipend?
They didn't get a stipend?
So we're giving $500 to the new ones.
Yes.
But that's more than enough to cover their test?
That's,
and
yeah.
the attaching thing?
Yes, ma'am.
So are we gonna give those 5
Well,
teachers?
in the request was looking to see that if those 5 teachers would get it, so that way that it would be across the board, everybody who had the ESL certification, that would be the request for the 17,500.
Yeah,
I think
Yes.
that new graduates are getting certified.
Yes.
In order to graduate.
Yes.
All of them, whatever they teach, that's my understanding.
Yes.
So we should reach a point where we don't have to do this anymore.
And that's exactly it, that we hope that this initiative that we're taking now, that next year we will have enough teachers across the board at the high school, so that we're not having to fulfill another waiver. So our next step is really to get back to that content base, so we're recruiting the math teacher, the science teacher, the social studies teachers, and creating those teams within the high school and the middle school, hopefully, to be able to get to that point. So right now, really, we're taking a step back only so that we can meet the compliance piece, but then we're gonna provide the professional development for teachers to provide the instruction. But our goal ultimately is to get to that content base again, getting all teachers certified.
And we're also looking for new hires to the
Yes.
district to have that as part of the contract, so this is good. Yes, I know.
And so part of our plan does include that we have to have a plan of how are we gonna recruit for the future. So,
And you are correct, most university systems have moved to a place where you cannot graduate within their program unless you have that, but not all of them are there. And certainly when we get teachers from out of state even, like that's on a requirement, and so, but
Well,
everybody's pretty much moving in
That
that
was
direction.
kind of my question, being the Air Force and the.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're gonna be coming in and out, what if they're coming from a state that doesn't have this, will that be covered
Well,
for them? Cause they've already got their certificate.
Well, so part of a teacher coming in from out of state, they would have to meet the TEA or the requirements for certification. So once they meet the requirements, it would be like any other teacher. If they met the requirements for ELAR.
Say in Nevada
Yes.
or something.
Yes, so.
I move.
Second.
I second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye. I hope it's orange. Opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Dr. Versta, how many things do you have?
Well, I do have a few announcements before we go into closed session. I know we're getting some information out about one of the aspects you heard earlier that has to do with the district-wide food drive starting for the very new and inaugural Fire Armor Bowl taking place. Ask you to mark your calendars, and we'll get information out on this September 26th, which is a Tuesday at Palo Alto Terrace Park next to Bob Hope Elementary. We are conducting a press conference with the Howard Foundation to announce the PK-12 aviation program, the first of its kind in San Antonio. The reason we're doing it there is because the helicopter is going to be coming in to land as part of the ceremonies that day for the kids to kind of see that. Southwest ISD, our Education Foundation golf tournament is October 1st. And if you don't like the swimming club, it's really great if you can make it out for lunch. And we'd love to introduce you to a lot of great friends who contribute their time and funds to enhance educational opportunities for our students. So I know that Joseph Gibby said he's available for any board member teams that would like to. I see him over there in the background. Our next board work session is October the 2nd. That's our brown bag, and it's a full schedule already. We have some really great items we're bringing. We started today doing presentations to a few open houses at Elm Creek. We did the staff at McNair today, and also did an open house at Calla about the bond package that the board calls in July. That's coming up for votes on November the 6th. It's the $75 million bond, and we'll probably go through that on October the 2nd to give the board a refresher, and we'll send out the PowerPoint so that you can see what that package includes. But it basically touches every campus in our district, with the exception of Resnick and Legacy, which probably shouldn't be using. Well, it does touch Resnick with the track, but it doesn't touch Legacy. Sorry, Joseph. So that's probably the only campus that doesn't get anything for a $75 million bond. So that's all I'm doing.
We got a brand new school. What else is he?
I don't know. That's my question.
All right, does anybody else have anything before we go? All right, under pursuit of Texas Government Code 551.047, going to executive session. All right, we come back into regular session at 7 o'clock, and we ask Dr. Verstoff what he has to recommend. It says 7 o'clock.
It does say that, you're correct.
Wow.
We're gonna set that forward in just a few minutes.
Okay. Whatever you'd like to do, sir. What do you have now? We go back to item on superintendent's recommendation on personnel. Do I have somebody to give me a?
Yeah, I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
I second.
Wonderful. Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried, sir. What else you got?
That's all we have this evening. We will bring our new executive director for our secondary curriculum at the Brown Bag, October 2nd. We think that she's going to get permission to start maybe Monday and look forward to onboarding Lee Ergon and getting her time with Southwest started. Look for great things to happen there. And we'll see you guys very soon. The football game this week is at Southwest Legacy versus Laredo LBJ, 7:30 Friday night. And our Southwest High School Dragons will be playing in Eagle Pass, Laredo, South, United South. So they'll be playing Laredo. We invite you to make it there if you can, and it'll be like the 4th week in a row we're at Southwest Legacy. I don't even think we have another stadium anymore.
Oh, we
It's
did.
already.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain again starting.
Oh, my God.
Even I am with waiting right now.
Too bad the light, I need to go about the light, lightning.
Not much at all. 5 feet. All right, does anybody have anything else? I'm afraid to say adjourned. I guess we're adjourned at 8:02.